Arc Raiders is a very complex game with a lot of core mechanics. So today, I'll be giving you an in-depth beginner guide minus all the hassle, covering 3 different segments. Firstly, all the information you'll actually need before playing. Secondly, a few important mechanics that will help you whilst in a match. And finally, I'll play through a full match and put that theory into practice. So, let's start in Speranza, which is essentially the lobby with 3 key areas for you to check out: the workshop, the raider menu, and the traders hall. Before we touch on them though, I need to stress that this is the only safe place within Arc Raiders. When on the surface, there are no safe zones, and that is the first of 4 golden rules for you to remember. So, moving firstly into the workshop, you'll find your workbench. This is the only station you'll have to begin with, and can be used to craft all of the basics you'll need. There's also room to build 6 more specialist stations. If you're wondering which order to craft them in, whichever you can craft first. The only one that will make a noticeable difference to your loadout at base level is the gunsmith, where you can craft both weapon mods and upgrade your weapons, as well as unlock the 5th basic weapon, the Rattler. However, when it does come time to take your stations to level 2, the refiner needs to be your priority, as it will allow you to craft more items that will allow you to level the others far faster than you would be able to without having the refiner at level 2. Safe for last is Scrappy. He will passively gather basic materials for you whilst you're on the surface. Leveling him is a pain, but worth it in the long run. Next up is the Raider tab. Ignore everything here bar the skill tree. There's no right way to level your raider because everyone has a different playstyle. Take me for example. I pumped most of my early points into survival, solely because I wanted higher carry weight so I could carry more loot back with me. However, not everyone has grubby little fingers like my own, and as such, I would just recommend leveling your character in a way that suits you. However, that does bring us to golden rule number 2. Read the branch, not the leaf. Each of the 3 branches has 4 nodes. The first 2 nodes are unlocked after spending 15 points within the branch, and the second 2 are unlocked after spending 36. Don't get me wrong, if you do like the sound of a perk, by all means go ahead and unlock it. Just make sure that you know your options and that there isn't something better that you want to work towards. Last and certainly least is the traders. This is where you'll get quests and, believe it or not, buy things. However, there are 2 very important things to take note of when it comes to the traders. Firstly, with Lance, you can trade a free loadout augment for a looting, combat, or tactical Mark 1. I haven't seen enough people talk about this because honestly, this is a phenomenal feature to have for new beginning players. Secondly is Celeste, who will sell you a host of great items for seeds. For example, most of the stuff you need to repair and in some cases even upgrade beginner and intermediate items you can buy from her. And as for getting the seeds, Old Nate Scrappy will have you covered in that regard. So, with Speranza now out of the way, let's go over your loadout. It's split into 3 segments: equipment, backpack, and quick use. Your quick use slot is for healing items, explosives, and utility items. As a beginner though, I'd recommend completely ignoring explosives and just focusing on consistently surviving. Your backpack is where you store valuables and ammo. Never forget to bring it because you will need it. Finally is your equipment, where your augment, shield, and weapons will go. Augments will give you extra storage space and one of 3 benefits. A tactical augment will add more slots to your quick use wheel. Combat augments will give you the ability to equip better shields, and looting augments will give you more carry weight as well as additional backpack space. Also, provided you're running one of those 3 augments, you will have a safe pocket. Essentially, even if you die, you'll keep the items that you had in it. So it's worth having on every occasion possible. When it comes to the weapons, what you should bring varies. The Ferro is the best from range, does the most damage, and has the highest arc armor piercing. However, it is single shot reload, whereas the Rattler is essentially an assault rifle. Not the best in any particular field, but very solid all round as a weapon. So if you're only bringing one weapon, I would recommend taking the Rattler. However, if you're taking two weapons, the Pharaoh in my opinion wins hands down. And in that case, your secondary weapon should be brought for the sole purpose of defending yourself from hostile raiders. You have three options: the hairpin, the stitcher, and the kettle. The hairpin is god awful. Honestly, if there was a hide option, I'd recommend you do hide it. Just don't craft it, don't use it, don't even look at it, okay? The stitcher, on the other hand, is by far the simplest weapon of them all and is essentially an SMG. Very high damage output from close range, but not the most accurate. And finally, there's the kettle, which is my personal favourite of the three, and also one of the most underrated weapons in the game. If you do have good trigger discipline, there's no better weapon for you. So, with those things in mind, build a loadout that suits you best with the options available. So, by now you should know where everything important is and what to bring up to the surface. But that doesn't yet mean you're ready. For you still have 2 golden rules yet to learn, and need to know how to find what you're looking for. When you hit play, you'll see the map options. More importantly, you'll see an inspect button. Hit that, and you'll see a preview of the map showing you each location and the different types of loot that you can find there. Whichever item you're looking for will tell you the areas that it can be found in. So, look at what you need and figure out where you're headed. This is vital in this game especially, because you not only have limited time, but also are contending with other players in order to get the resources you'll need. The only exception for this is the loot for leveling Scrappy, which I would highly recommend you watch a tutorial for. I didn't. I spent 6 hours looking for one of the ingredients that you need for him. 6. Please, just watch a tutorial. And the last thing you need to know is which arc enemies you can take on. As a rule of thumb, if it looks big and nasty, it is big and nasty. If it looks small and feeble, then it is small and feeble, and you can take it. For small drones, shoot their thrusters, and for ground enemies, just shoot whatever's glowing. So, with that information out of the way, we can now move on to in-game mechanics. First up, if you press Alt, you'll do a roll. You can use this for dodging bullets, rockets, and also to get behind cover quickly. Rolling does use up a good chunk of stamina, but is a pivotal thing to master for both PvP and PvE. Second thing you need to know is that if you press X, you can swap from right hand perspective to left hand perspective. You should use this when clearing buildings or checking if you're safe to rotate. The third, and my favourite, is the no fall damage roll. I can't remember the proper name for it, but essentially if you time it right and the drop isn't too far, pressing Control will perform a roll. This will not only negate fall damage, but also won't leave you staggered after falling. Next thing to know is that the drones are controlled by AI. They have a light that shows the direction they're facing and will also react to specific sounds if they are in a close proximity. They do have patrol paths, so if you do want to avoid them, simply avoid their line of sight and don't make too much sound within their vicinity. And finally, when escaping, there will be a period where the escape method is coming in, be that a lift or a metro. Other raiders will hear this and may decide to push you. Equally, more often than not, there'll be some arc enemies very close to the escape. So you have two options. You can either find a safe spot to wait in until the thing arrives, or you can find a vantage point and have the best chance of defeating a raider or arc enemy that comes to fight you. And remember, even when you're interacting with the console to escape a map, you're not safe and can still very easily be eliminated. So be vigilant. As for the other two golden rules, the first is trust no one. A raider asking you not to shoot doesn't mean they won't shoot. Sounds obvious, but this applies in all aspects. For example, if you team up with another group of raiders to take down a big bad, they may then decide to eliminate you so they can keep all the loot for themselves. By no means am I saying every other player within the game is hostile. I've had some amazing interactions with some great people within this game, and I think the community as a whole is one of the reasons I like it as much as I do. However, be vigilant when around other raiders. And the fourth golden rule is that stam is king. Your stamina is vital in both combat and during rotates. so you need to ensure that you're managing it efficiently. The better the state of your stamina, the better you'll be in any given situation. I'm not saying by any means that you should pump all your points into mobility. However, you do need to ensure that you're keeping an eye on your stamina when in game. So with all that information now rammed right down your throats, let's get into an example game. I'll be editing these with a minimal approach, just to ensure I don't miss anything out actually in game. So, without any more yapping, let's get straight into them. And here we have the aforementioned example game. I'm going in with a free loadout because that is, in my opinion, the best way I can emulate what your game will look like. And we're doing so on damn battlegrounds. Now, there's three things to consider, the first of which is what weapon you get. With a free loadout, you can get a Rattler, a Kettle, a Stitcher, or the Pharaoh. And each one will limit you to certain things. If you get the Rattler, cry. It's at level 1, it only has 10 bullets in it, which isn't enough in the mag to kill another raider in one round. So you'll have to reload. You can use it against arc enemies, but it's not great. So of them, the Rattler's probably my least preferred. The Stitcher and the Kettle, both of which use them for PvP. Just don't put yourself through trying to kill arc enemies with a light weapon, because it's not an enjoyable experience. And then the Pharaoh is, in my opinion, probably the best you can get for the free loadout, just because it allows you to kill arc enemies so easily. You're going to be screwed if you go up against other raiders, but if you have a free loadout, you're probably not going to have anything too valuable on you anyway. So if you do run into any other raiders, you're not going to be losing too much. Right, second thing to bear in mind, and we are on, ladies and gents, is the timer at the top. So, games are 30 minutes. At baseline, a fresh game is 30 minutes long. However, 20 to 30 of those seconds, in some cases 40 depending on your computer, will be spent loading in. So if you spawn in above 29 minutes, that's a fresh game. On until about 28 minutes, you're still looking alright. We got a kettle as well, so that's not too bad. But the reason you want to pay attention to the timer is because most of the loot spots will be gone if you're below, say, 25, maybe even 20 minutes. If you're on this map, you're going to make a beeline for whatever it is that you're here for. And if it's less than 25, sometimes even you can load in at 17 minutes, then I just wouldn't bother. Right. So I'm going to show you my loot spot this game, but first we'll cover these red lockers. The red lockers are probably the best thing that you can loot. They can have blueprints for certain things. I'll go into more detail about blueprints in a minute, but as a rule of thumb, if you're looking for trinkets or crafting materials, so these for example, that one's recyclable, that one's recyclable, some of them are crafting materials, but the point is, they give good loot, is what I'm trying to say. What type of loot they give you depends on the area. So this, for example, is a security area. As such, they're giving recyclable materials that you can find in a security area. Light weapon parts, I'll take. And that is about it for them. On the whole, red lockers are good, and they can also contain blueprints. But again, that does depend on the area you're in, and we'll go into blueprints now, because blueprints are an essential thing that you are going to want. There's different, blueprint types, and you can find them in different areas. For example, weapon blueprints you will find in ammo crates, weapon crates, the likes. And speaking of those, this is the last area on my looting route for damn battlegrounds. You need zip lines, but on the top of each of these 3 water towers are grenade satchels, weapon crates, ammo bags, stuff like that. The weapon crates specifically on that one, they don't always spawn. That is one thing to remember when you are trying to loot. Bear that in mind. But if you do bring some zip lines, I can guarantee you'll find one of them at least on top of one of the 3. But that is the last place I would visit, because you need specific supplies to actually loot it. And as such, it's probably the safest of the 3 spots in terms of you actually getting the loot. This is the second spot. It's here on the map, and there's 3 places you're going to want to check. The first is in here. There's a grenade satchel, it'll spawn there. If there's an ammo crate, it'll be there. They can spawn, like I said, don't always. You can also find a weapon crate at the back here, and sometimes a medical bag there. And none of them have spawned, which is taking the mick a bit, to be honest. I have literally maybe once had it where none of them spawned, and just my luck it'd be on the example game I'm using, but if you head there, there will 9 times out of 10 be good loot. And again, back to blueprints. If you want the blueprints for the gun parts, you're going to want to search the weapon crates and the grenade bags, as well as the weapon blueprints. For mod or attachment blueprints and grenade blueprints, you're going to want to search residential areas. I don't know why it works like that, but that is the most luck I've had with it. More specifically, residential areas in containers, sort of little pull-out drawers, and again, red lockers. Another key thing to note, a raider cache can spawn there. They can have blueprints in them. They'll also have ammo. They can have weapons. They can have a bunch of good stuff. So do keep an eye out for them. Now, this is the third spot. Probably going to be the most contested of the 3 on my route. But hey-ho, you win some, you lose some. No loot is yours in Arc Raiders. You're just holding on to it for the first person that kills you. And equally, no loot that anyone else has is theirs forever. Because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're the best player in the world. There will always be some rat that will kill you when you're trying to take down a matriarch, or camp a corner with some mines and kill you. But hey ho. I do have a jolt mine. Essentially what that'll do, if someone comes in, it'll electrocute them. Just give me a warning if someone else is here. And in this spot, you're going to want to check on the left and on the right. Weapon crate or med bag. I don't know what else can spawn, but there are some other bits that can spawn here. They can spawn in this bit. More often than not, though, if you're going to find one, can be a weapon crate on there. Can be an ammo crate somewhere down here. This is always a set spawn. This is a husk. This will have those in them. Arc power cells and arc alloys. When you get refiner level 2, arc alloy can be used to craft... Hello, rubber duck. Yes, please. Don't know if someone's in my spot and threw that, or if that's just because I breached it. But I personally like collecting rubber ducks because they will show up in your raider room. As I was saying, husks, get these bits. Arc alloy level 2 refiner, you can craft blue parts from arcs that you can use for different, various purple blueprints. My favourite of which being the wolf pack. And then you can... Oh, it spawned. You can use these, or you will want them, arc power cells and rubber parts, which you can use to make the shield recharges. Other thing worth mentioning, with your free loadout, you will only get 1 shield recharger and 2 bandages. You'll also get some grenades. In this case, I got a lower grenade, and I can't remember what that thing was, but I had something there as well. What do we have in here? Gun parts. But letter I'm not going to take. Just because I have some self-respect. And then with this area, weapon crate can spawn up there. If there has been a weapon crate there, then there probably won't be one there, but worth, checking regardless. Ammo crate can spawn there, and then this is usually a grenade bag or a medical bag. Last thing are the breachable containers. You breach them, you get loot from them. And ignore anything that drops. That is one of my upgrade perks from the skill tree. You won't have that unless you pick that upgrade. Oh, the kettle. I'm not going to take it. So in this case, these drop metal parts. However, it's important for you to remember, if you're looting them, you can get good loot from them. And if you're looting a probe or a courier, they'll actually drop some of the blue arc materials. So they are worth, taking... or breaching if you have that perk and you need any of them. And I've just stuck myself. That's why you want to hug to that side. But that's a good place I can, show fixed stuck player. 2 ways to get out when you do get stuck. You can wait for the fixed stuck player, or if that doesn't show up, then you need to grenade yourself out. Because I have found some spots that you can get stuck in and it won't give you the option to fix stuck player. You just have to grenade yourself. Right, we do have a kettle here, so I'm going to want to avoid, the arc enemies at all costs. This is significantly better than having a Stitcher, but it's still not great, and it takes a long time to reload. If you are going to use a kettle for taking out arc enemies, you want it to be the ticks, the pops, the fireballs, or the wasps it can handle. Anything more, just no. Ah, and you've spotted me. That is a snitch. Snitch I don't have to worry about, but it will cause stuff in that I do have to worry about. So I'm going to get inside here and press C. So, whilst we're here, another very important thing that I haven't explained thus far is the shield mechanic. I'm going to want to come over here and just press C. One of them has spotted me, I believe, so... This is a wasp, unfortunately. I'm gonna get in here. I'll go over cover in a minute. So that's a hornet. If you have a light weapon, you don't want to be fighting them. You just don't. They shoot out like a tase bolt. They're not too bad by themselves, and they will, like you can see, they'll stand still when they're shooting, but if they do hit you, then you're not very, like, looking very good. My advice would be, if you have a light weapon, just don't go anywhere near a hornet. Because their front two thrusters have metal plating on them, which are a pain to break with a light weapon. He's smoking though, so should be dead pretty soon. Excuse me, I rolled that game. Thank you. So yeah, when a hornet shoots at you, you want to roll out the way at the last second. I think because of the angle I rolled at, it clipped my feet, which is another important thing to mention. Your whole character model does have a hitbox. It's not like one of those games where, like, your hair doesn't, obviously, but anything that is your character does have a hitbox. So that, for example, that bolt could have hit my feet when I was rolling. That still is a hit because it hit your feet. And that's important to remember when you're behind cover. Because let's say I'm crouching behind this. If someone can see my foot, they can shoot it and it will hit me. That is a leaper on my right. I am going to want to stay away from him. Cameras and metal detectors, by the way, they don't do much other than make a noise, but the noise will alert other players to where you are, so just be careful with them. I can tell you that's a fireball, and I can tell you right now I'm not killing that thing with a kettle. And that's a turret. So I'm just going to do this. That thing that sounds like a rat, by the way, is that. That's a tick. Think of them like face huggers from Alien. This is where you can find mushrooms. And back to blueprints, because I got a little sidetracked with that a little bit. For weapon mods and like the Wolfpack blueprint, for example, you are going to want residential areas like the Ruby Residence, but preferably ones that are named. For example, the Blue Gate has the village, sorry, which is a good place to go for loot. This is a backpack, by the way. You can find them littered around. They can have some good stuff. They can also not. And I would also recommend take everything until you know what bits you use regularly and what bits you don't. And that is a trinket. Essentially, if it has a diamond symbol, it just is a trinket. You can sell them for more, but at the cost of they don't really do much else. And there's usually a motor on that chair. It isn't a set spawn, but I'd say 80% of the time there is. So that's worth checking when you need motors. What the blueprints are there? Tier 3. Tier 3 augments you can find on Blue Gate. I'd look for blue containers or, again, locked doors and containers. Speaking of locked doors, this is what they look like. They're just doors on the map. You need keys to unlock them. But more often than not, they'll have gun crates, weapon crates, ammo crates, and other good stuff within them. So, worth checking out. Don't want to head that way just yet. So if I remember correctly, there are some lockers here. Yes, there are. And yeah, these, depending on the area, are the best place for blueprints. But as I said, it does depend on the area. So, for example, red lockers in a residential area or an area where people suit up are more likely to have trinkets. So, in the hospital, for example, there is a locker room with red lockers, and they always will have at least 1 or 2 watches in them, which are blue trinkets. You can sell them for quite a bit. And this is one place that is worth looking out for rats for. So, for example, sometimes someone will crouch here behind the desk. Watch this angle, because if you go through that, they'll hear you, and if you go through that, it'll make a noise. Some people rat on top of lockers. Obviously not here, because this is obvious, but what I'm trying to point out is that whenever you're going through a building, I would always just recommend having your weapon out first and looking at entrances. Excuse me. I shot that already, didn't I? Or just, yeah, destroy anything that makes noise, because that will give away your position. Of course you'd be there. That's the other thing. It depends what kind of run you're going for. If you're going for trinkets and stuff on damn battlegrounds, then just go for the apartments or the residence. Typically, unless it's outlined, like, for example, Grandioso Apartments, those are the place to go for trinkets on the Buried City. But A, you need to have that unlocked, which requires 4 extractions, I believe. It's extractions. It could just be games played on damn battlegrounds. Equally, the hospital's a good place for loot. But the point I'm trying to make is where you go should depend on what kind of loot you want. If you're going for coins, then go for a trinket run, which is residential, like the Grandioso Apartments, places like that. Whereas if you're going for, like, blueprint runs, then you want to be looking for residential areas for weapon mods and grenade stuff like that. You want to be looking at weapon crates and ammo crates for weapon blueprints. Also, raider caches, you can find them in there. Tier 3 augments, like I said, Blue Gate's where you're going to find them. And there is another, like, type, but I can't remember what it is, and I can't remember... Because I can't remember what it is, I can't think of where you find it. Locked rooms that you have to breach into, will more often than not have better loot. As will rooms you need keys for, but just because it has a key doesn't mean it will give you good loot.
You have 10 minutes to return to Speranza. I repeat, 10 minutes.
Ah, you would do that, wouldn't you? You just would do that. That sounds like it's going to be opening in a sec. Which it is. I should have gone over cover more precisely, but... Ah, well, I get the return. What else did I have on the list that I've forgotten? Oh, yeah. Well, I can do that whilst I'm clearing my inventory. Other raiders... pretty much split into 3 categories. About 50% of other raiders will be friendly. They're probably doing their own thing. And that's that. Probably 30% are going to be looking for a fight, getting some loot, or just getting these done. For example, damage dealt to raiders using medium ammo. If they have that, then they're probably going to bring in medium weapons and go for kills on other raiders. And that also has the benefit of, if it is later in the game, then I personally would just go for PvP anyway. Because that way, you know, other raiders will have already done most of the looting. You get all the loot that they would have had, because they've been looting for X amount that you missed, and you don't have to get it yourself. Equally, if you do decide to team up with another raider, great. However, I would personally recommend take the Grandioso Apartments on Buried City, which are these ones. As I said, best place for trinkets on that map, at least in my experience of the maybe 30 loot runs I've done there so far. like exclusively headed there. There's 2 buildings, 9 times out of 10, someone will take the other building. If that happens, then either just say, yo, I'm friendly, or leave them with their building and you take yours, and you're all hunky-dory. And I will say, I probably didn't play the best that game, but I have a pretty long list there of stuff that I wanted to mention whilst I was doing the gameplay example. And yeah, mentioning all of it in one game proved difficult because 9 times out of 10 I'd run into something whilst trying to look what I needed to explain. Because fun fact, this ain't the first time I've tried doing an example game specifically for this. The first one I went in not knowing what I wanted to say, and I ended up just talking about so many different things that it got very convoluted. So then I listed it and got put into a 17-minute left game. So I just decided to PvP that game, and that led us to that. So if this has been a bit convoluted, it's because there was a lot of things that I noticed whilst I was playing the game that I wanted to mention without actually doing it. Speaking of, the only other thing that I really had on the list here was a Bastion, Bombardier, and Rocketeer, like how to kill him, basically. I will go over that, but again, when you're a new player, you won't need to kill him. You only really need him when you're going for tier 3 augments, or tier 3 stations, sorry, like I am currently. For example, the utility station, you need Leaper Pulse units. I need one more of them. They're not particularly difficult to kill once you figure out how to kill them. It's just figuring that out. So, with that in mind, I'll head over to the Codex and to Arc, and we'll go over the 3 that you might need help with. Rocketeer. All you need for a Rocketeer is a Wolf Pack and an Anvil or a Ferro. You throw the Wolf Pack, it'll hit the Rocketeer, it'll do a lot of damage. Then you just want to aim for the thruster that looks white, because this black bit here, that's plating. You want to get rid of that. If you don't have a wolf pack, let's say, then you just want to aim for the thrusters. It'll take you maybe 4 ferro shots to take off the first layer of plating, and then the next 4 shots will take off the second, and then in the third it'll take you another 3 shots to, you know, get rid of the thruster and killer. Rocketeer is probably the easiest as long as you have a wolf pack, but if you don't have a wolf pack, then watch out, because she can shoot up to 4 rockets at once, and of all the, you know, like bigger arc enemies, she's been the worst in my experience for actually killing me. Next up, we've got the Leaper. This thing you're going to want 1 or 2 wolf packs for, or you can just bring in the snap grenades, I believe they are, or trigger nades. As you can see here, that white blob in the middle is its weak spot. All you're going to want to do, I mean, you can take out the legs, but the easiest way, all you're going to want to do, shoot her. She'll leap over if she's far away, or if she's nearby, she'll run over to you. She can do like this silly little exploding attack, or more than likely she'll just leap on top of you. Yeah, she can also hit you with the legs, but you shouldn't be in a scenario where she can hit you with the legs. So what you do at that point is you just get behind cover, you throw some grenades on the front of her and blow it off. Hey ho, you're hunky-dory. If that doesn't kill her, because, you know, you haven't got the right tier grenades, or you haven't got enough of the grenades, then you just shoot the middle bit, and again, within a few shots, you'll be hey-ho, hunky-dory. Or if you didn't hit her with the grenades in the right spots or anything, then you can just shoot the middle. Moral of the story, shoot the middle. If you've got grenades, aim at the middle. That's how you take down a Leaper. Bastion and Bombardier. This fella is just so easy. He has 2 little drones, though. So, the 2 spotters, that's what they're called. They'll fly above him, and if they spot you, they'll put a laser down, like that'll track you, and then the Bombardier will just shoot rockets at your location. If you don't get spotted by the spotters, though, then you can literally just crouch up behind this thing, and it has a yellow spot on its back. That is a weak point. You take yourself a deadline, you slap it on its back, you wait for it to explode, and again, hey-ho, hunky-dory. Bastion, on the other hand, it does have a weak spot on the back, but this one's like 10 times more attentive. The way I will typically just handle a Bastion is bring in a couple of wolf packs or just some kind of grenades. Or if I don't have them, I have done it before with a Ferro. You just shoot the yellow spots on the legs. After maybe 10, 20 shots, the leg will fall off. And then you just rinse and repeat until you've killed the thing. Key thing to note as well, when you do kill something with legs, or a Rocketeer for example, with the Rocketeer, all 4 thrusters are lootable, as well as the main body. With the Leaper, the main body is lootable, and that will have the Leaper pulse, and then the other legs, like the 4 legs, they are also lootable. The Bastion, the legs are lootable. There's about 20 different spots on the main body, as well as the core. That's where we'll get the best loot. Bombardier, again, legs lootable, body lootable. Yap, yap, yap. There we go. Spotter, shoot it twice with a Ferro, it's dead. Sentinel, sniper thing, shoot it 6 times, maybe 8 times with a heavy weapon, it's dead. Queen and Matriarch. This is where we get into the fun little parts. The Matriarch, I've killed a few of them. I haven't had the best of loot from them. I've only got 1 core, I think of. If you've seen the short, I died to a Leaper after I'd killed it, and the second time, I hadn't fully killed it. I'd got 2 of the legs off, looted them, ran out, and then I died to 2 kids that were camping in the zip lines, but we're going to ignore that, because I've got a lot of trauma from this lady, or more specifically, other players being assholes whilst I'm trying to kill this lady. The point of this little segment, which I now realise I'm rambling on with, is Matriarch's easy to kill once you know what you're doing. She puts up a shield, but she'll open a front and expose a core whilst you do it. You snap hook in, you'll want about 2 deadlines. You plant them on the core, they'll explode, she'll die. The center is where you get the 3rd of 3 legendary weapons, or the blueprint for it. However, there's only one of them that spawns, and if people see that you've killed her, you're probably not living. So if you do get it, safe pocket it, and then run for the hills. Queen, on the other hand, is a lot easier. Every now and then, she'll pop up a core from her middle part, and you just, again, snap hook up, deadline on it, she shall die. And then last of all, we have the Shredder whilst I'm going through this list. Shredder's a pain. Personally, I would give me a Matriarch any day over this thing. It's not particularly difficult to kill, but you'll need a fair whack of ammo, and it does a hell of a lot of damage in 1 hit. Example game, and whatever this last segment has been concluded. So, with all the information we've covered today, you are armed with everything you need to take you from a beginner to an intermediate player. I will note that there are a few things that I couldn't cover in this, such as recoil and weapon handling. Those are just things that you have to figure out for yourself when playing. I also left out a few location-specific tips, because in my opinion, it's far more enjoyable to find those locations than for someone to just tell you where they are. And finally, I'm no pro. If someone with 500 hours comes along and says, this, and this are wrong, you should be doing this, and this, probably listen, because at the end of the day, what this is a list of things that I wish I'd have known as a beginner that would have elevated me from a complete noob to a decent raider. And as such, I do hope that this video helps you on your journey into Ark Raiders. If you did enjoy the video, I would ask that you consider leaving a like on it, and otherwise, take care folks, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.